Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It is our Manchester United versus Liverpool preview video. I've got Stan Collymore with me. I don't know what angle he's going to go at, but it's a massive, massive game for us on Sunday. Super Sunday. So much to look forward to. There's only one question that I really want to fly straight in with and go to Stan with this is, while I get the live comments up, is there's loads to talk about, but is this a game that whoever loses is effectively out of the title? I know that sounds a bit stupid because I spoke to you on Monday night and I'm not convinced United are in a title race yet. But a loss for either, do you think that sort of ends a title race?
No, because we've still got virtually half a season left. I think that 2 or 3 weeks ago I did a column in the Mirror and I suggested that United were in a title race. And it's strange ever since then. Didi Hamann, that formerly played for Liverpool, his comments in recent days said United have got the best squad. And I'll come to why the squad is obviously important, obvious to many, but I think a lot of people don't necessarily get it. And also Paul Scholes said he felt that the winner out of perhaps could be 2 games, of course, not just this league game at the weekend. But it could be a League Cup final at Wembley, which obviously is played much earlier in the season than any of the other finals. For me, I've said that I believe Manchester United can not only beat Liverpool at the weekend, but beat them over the 38 games, because the big question for me was, and I remember writing it on the very, very first column I did in the beginning of this season, on the first show that I did, there's nothing wrong with Manchester United's squad experience and squad depth. They've got plenty of numbers, they've got plenty of experience, and plenty of experience of people that have won a lot of big trophies. And probably most notably in that, you're looking at Wayne Rooney and you're looking at Michael Carrick, that have either been embraced or brought back in various competitions. That's good squad depth. Liverpool, I feel, have got an exceptional way of playing and an exceptional manager. But I don't think, James Milner aside, when you're talking about English club winning experience, there's a lot of winning experience in the team. That doesn't necessarily count for a lot because Leicester City last season, of course, didn't have much experience of winning top level or cup competitions. Although I have to say, don't forget, a lot of that group of Leicester City players did win the Championship, did win League One, so I know what it's like on a run-in. United have that, Liverpool don't. But I just think the sheer quality and depth of the United squad, the question was going to be, could Jose Mourinho, in timely fashion, get them playing, get them getting results, getting them having clean sheets and getting them playing the United way and not be cut adrift? And the answer is yes. I mean, whether or not we think they can supersede and go past Chelsea is another thing altogether. But he just about got it right around November time to get them competitive, to get them winning games, to get the fans feeling good about the team again, to at least give himself now at 17, 18 games to be able to give it a really good go. If he'd have left it till the end of January and United was stuttering a little bit, they hadn't gone on this great run, then I would say Liverpool were favourites to win the league above United, and they would have been in a better position to finish in a better position. But I've got to be honest, as a former Liverpool player, I am massively concerned that Manchester United have a deeper, more experienced squad, of very motivated players now. You can see that with the players that have come in the League Cup and the FA Cup games. I don't feel, to answer your question, the winners or losers will guarantee anything other than a very good feel-good factor for the next 5 or 6 or 10 games. And of course, it's pegging back or giving a little bit more of a cushion, if you're Liverpool, in terms of the points race. But I'll be very, very happy if I was a Manchester United supporter, player, manager or staff now, because they're doing everything they can do and they've found some of the solutions to the key problems: scoring goals, attacking width, getting the best out of Paul Pogba, a natural blend in midfield from Carrick and Herrera. And I don't care who you are, nobody would have guessed that Phil Jones and Marcus Rocco possibly would end up this season, or certainly get to this point of the season, arguably being the Premier League's best central defensive partnership.
It's interesting, really. I mean, there's a few points I want to sort of bring in there. The Rojo and Jones one, and when you look at statistically, you mentioned James Milner as well. He is statistically one of the best left backs in Europe at the moment when he's not a left back. Jordan Henderson, statistically one of the best midfielders. Lallana's gone to another level. I mean, I want to talk about the managers quickly. Jurgen Klopp obviously has had a year longer. I agree with everything you said about Mourinho. I think he's timed it perfectly. And I wouldn't have been critical if he had taken till January, because I did say that it's a massive job. And despite spending a lot more money than Liverpool have, the squad's a mess, of which Schneiderlin's gone tonight for those joining in. That's gone. And I think that's a bit of dead wood no matter what you think. But Mourinho and Klopp, you look at your Wengers, your Contes and your Peps, and I don't think they've turned what we would judge as mediocre players so drastically round. And I would give Klopp a bit of credit, because Milner hasn't been playing at left back, and Milner is a model professional regardless of what anybody thinks. But Henderson, I think the improvement in Lallana has been really especially good. But on the United side, Rojo and Jones, I think even as United fans are stunned about that. And you can give the Liverpool and the United angle, Stan, but from a United point of view, I've been saying this for weeks, and a lot of us have. Jones and Rojo weren't defenders last season. There's only one reason they are now, and that's tactical advice and drilling from Jose Mourinho. And I presume that's the same with Klopp.
And I think it's the same with any manager. You'd be surprised when you go on a training ground. Specifically now, we get lots of insights. I've been in the United States, and there's a series on NBC which is showing behind the scenes at every Premier League club, because for an uninitiated American fan that is only perhaps getting into the Premier League for the first time, they need guiding through on what is a football club, what it does, systems, etc., etc. You'd be surprised how many football clubs have poor coaches. Now, the reason why managers like Sam Allardyce and Tony Pulis always are going to get jobs, probably into their 70s if they're not careful, is because they can organise. They will physically go on the training ground and they will drill defences. So if the ball's on the right-hand side with the right full-back, everybody shifts over 2 or 3 yards. The defensive midfielders know where they're going to be. You know where your full-backs and your wide men, the dovetailing between that. And of course, we've seen, whether it be great Liverpool sides of the 70s and 80s or great United sides of the 90s and 2000s, they weren't just very good players. They were very good players that were drilled very well in terms of, Beckham and Neville down the right-hand side. Very good midfield partnerships, strike partnerships. So I think that what Jurgen Klopp hasn't quite done yet, to my satisfaction, is that, for example, I don't think they have a top quality goalkeeper. That's no disrespect to what Simon Mignolet or Karius can do. I just haven't seen them do what David De Gea can do. So United have a better goalkeeper. If you have a better goalkeeper, it tends to give you a little bit more confidence in front of that. I know that United have had issues. Luke Shaw's been in and out of the side. Darmian has played left back, right back. But I think that in Rocco and Jones, it's just been a simple message. First, can you get into my team? And if you get into my team, your level has to be so high. But once you play at that level, you're going to stay in the team. It's just old-fashioned good management. And I think this day and age where we have pocketbook management, people constantly writing notes on pieces of paper, trying to change the coaching dynamic and the coaching wheel, simple basics work well. Your right back, your right midfielder, your 2 defensive midfielders you've got to, your 2 central defenders, the communication between your goalkeeper and 2 central defenders. And Manchester United have got it right. I mean, we always knew that Phil Jones had all of the kind of British defensive values in him. Sir Alex Ferguson was very glowing in his praise of him when he bought him.
A little bit too, probably.
Yeah. Exactly. But that dissipated over a time for club and for country. But I never saw the Marcus Rocco at all. And I never saw the Marcus Rocco for his country either, that now is a proper defender for Manchester United. And that goes down to a man going on the coaching ground and saying, why have you done that? Let's rewind it. Let's stop the session. Let's rewind it. Think about doing it this way. And that's the difference between a great title-winning coach getting good players to be great players to be legends. And whether you like it or not, Jose Mourinho has managed to do that. Very briefly, I thought, like a lot of Manchester United fans thought and wondered, whether Jose Mourinho would be able to get the the coaching aspect of it right in terms of the United style of play. He's done that as well. In the last 6 or 7 games, they've grown each game, been more attacking, more fluid. So at the moment, if you're looking at where Manchester United are, like I say, they are going to be a very, very tough team to beat. Got money to spend, good first 11, very good squad.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me from you, Stan, but it's a good point. We were talking about that last night. I think the press generally have been quite critical of Jose compared to Pep. You know, he's a new boy in town and they want to go down that route. And I think the one thing that was levelled at him in the summer was that it's boring football under Jose. He might win a title, but it's boring football. And it certainly hasn't been, especially even when we were dropping points in September and October, it wasn't boring. And that's been really impressive. And it's great the way he silenced the press there. But I do think that when it comes to United, we have got the better players. And I think what Liverpool have got is a system. I think both comparably very good managers, and I would put them as the best 2 managers in the league at the moment. Bar Conte, obviously, because he's done great things, but I think he'll be tested in the second half. But I think Klopp's got a system at Liverpool, and I think Mourinho deserves a lot of credit because he's also got a system, but he's also moulded a team, like you said, ridiculously quickly to give him a little. I think next year's United's year, next season, he's put him in with a chance, and I think that's to be commended. I can't throw you what the Liverpool team would be. Maybe you can throw that in, some of your thoughts in that in a minute. But I want to read out what my Manchester United team would be and ask a very specific question as to who isn't in that team. So I'd have De Gea in goal, Valencia right back, Jones and Rojo if they're fit, or Jones and Smalling. Left back I'd put Daley Blind because Shaw's not ready, and we've spoken about Darmian, and he worries me defensively, and doesn't give much forward. But it's the front 6 that really excite, and this is where I would go. So I'd go Carrick, Herrera and Pogba because I think they're the best midfield 3 in the Premier League at the moment. I'd put Mkhitaryan on the right. I'd put Anthony Martial on the left for the pace. And I'd put Zlatan up front. So that would be my team. First of all, what's your thoughts on that? And secondly, obviously no Wayne Rooney in there. We spoke about him last time you were on the show, and it was all about the drinking and stuff like that. But me and a lot of Manchester United fans feel that Manchester United are a better team without Wayne Rooney in it. And that sounds funny because he's the Manchester United captain and he's still got a lot to offer. But what's your thoughts on that team? And 2, what's your thoughts on Wayne Rooney?
I think it's an incredible achievement. Wayne Rooney will go on and be not only England's highest ever goal scorer, but of course his club's greatest ever goal scorer. And let's not mince words here. That is an incredible achievement of longevity. He putting himself, and I think there are 2 or 3 players that I think of: Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. You could probably throw John Terry in there. But when you play for Liverpool or Manchester United, you've not just got the last 10, 12 years of history weighing on your shoulders. You've got the likes of Souness and Dalglish and Rush and from the Manchester United side, Best, Charlton, Law, Brian Robson, to also carry on your shoulder at times when things aren't going well. And of course, since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club, things haven't necessarily gone well. I agree with you. He wouldn't be in the first 11. And I was having this debate earlier because I was writing my column about the what is a huge game. United, if they go down the road of playing players that are pedestrian but good technicians and play them more than 2 or 3 of them, then I think that Liverpool can shift the ball around quickly on any given day and they can hurt teams. So when you mentioned there about Martial and Mkhitaryan, I think that would be spot on because they've got pace to burn. They can get back the way as well as go forward. From a Liverpool perspective, it's a lot clearer, really, because I think that obviously with the likes of Sadio Mane going off to the African Cup of Nations, it's about getting Philippe Coutinho back and getting him back into a position in the team whereby he can create a lot. So whether it's Lallana that makes runs off him, whether it's Sturridge that starts or comes off the bench, whether it's Origi, is that you cannot underestimate for Liverpool that if Henderson and Chan nick the ball back or whoever it is in the defence, the lines very quickly, make things happen very, very quickly. So I think for Liverpool, it's a lot more straightforward. But if I was Jose Mourinho, I would certainly be thinking pace, and pace again. Because from a Manchester United perspective, they have to at least match what Liverpool have, which is great mobility through the side.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we're not sure about is how Manchester United will approach this game. They may well go with what is, I think it's a good balanced team, the one I've given there. But Matt has played very well recently. He might trust Rooney just to put a shift in down the left. Um, God help us, I don't think he will play Fellaini, so I'm not going to dwell on that for too long. But and Liverpool, how they approach it is different. I mean, I've spoken to a couple of Liverpool fans when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s. There was a lot of Liverpool fans, so I know a lot. And a lot of them have said to me over the last few days that they'd happily take a point. I think
Yeah.
you've got to give the bravado of we're coming to beat you. That's Liverpool United. We did it a few months ago, and we were happy with the point, to be honest. So I want to ask you where you think it will, what you think. How do you think the game will go? But more importantly, how do you think Liverpool will approach it? I mean, I just quickly, I think if United can get an early goal, with the way the atmosphere will be there, replicated as it would be at Anfield, if Liverpool had got an early goal a few months ago, I think United could win it 3-4, 4-2, 3-1, something like that. If there's not an early goal, I think it's going to be a tight game. Could be 0-0, but I think United are going to win it. So I think 1-0 or 2-1.
I think you have to have United as favourites, scoring goals, keeping mostly clean sheets. I'd be less confident of Liverpool keeping clean sheets. They've done it a couple of times where they've had a couple of games back to back. That hasn't happened recently. Liverpool's best way of winning the game is by going for the jugular. And that's been the same under Jurgen Klopp, whether it's been at Borussia Dortmund or whether it's been at Liverpool. And my slight concern was, I think that they both respect each other very, very much, the two managers. And obviously the two clubs respect each other very much. But I noticed the first game, and I pored over this, and I'm scratching my head thinking, why haven't Liverpool come out of the blocks here at Anfield in the game that finished 0-0? And I just wonder for Jurgen Klopp at that time that there was so much respect for the kind of this huge rivalry. The English Classic he's put teams out into Klassiker in Germany, that he didn't want to just expend a hell of a lot of energy against the United side at that time. Let's not forget that weren't performing great, but had enough quality, 65, 70, 75 minutes to hurt them. And I think that he'll take the game almost in the same way. Jurgen Klopp, when he's the most confident, his teams are going at it and they're pressing high, winning the ball high up the pitch very often. I can see this from both teams' perspective and both clubs' perspective. I think that Jose Mourinho will be the slightly cockier manager in terms of his team selection, but I still wouldn't be at all surprised if this one wasn't more of a game of chess than a 4-2, 4-3, 3-1, either way what it is. And the reason why that is because neither are out of the race. A draw for either, and specifically a clean sheet, says we keep clean sheets against good teams, we keep clean sheets against our rivals. A point is a great point against our rivals, happy days. But if one team goes out and hammers the other one by 2 or 3 goals, Jose Mourinho would be getting a lot of questions and Jurgen Klopp would be getting a lot of questions. So I think that both will err on the side of caution. And that's the only time I've seen Liverpool this season, apart from Burnley the first half, which I think they were just it was just tepid, is where they've slowed the tempo of the play down and they didn't quite have the penetration and the pace that they have at times. So I'm torn between going 2-1 United or 0-0. It's going to be one or the other. I can't see Liverpool going there and winning just at the moment. I think that Manchester United are probably favourites. They've got perhaps better options coming from the bench as well. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was a repeat of the game that we saw earlier on in the season. And it was a to a lot of people a bore draw. But trust me, having played in these games, that cup final, the 1996 cup final, Roy Keane in his autobiography said it was the toughest game he'd ever played in. And obviously Eric Cantona won the game late with that little bit of magic. But it was a stalemate. It was 22 good players that wanted to really go that extra yard, but were scared of what the team had against you going the other way. So I think there will be a mutual respect. If I was going for a win, I honestly, and I predict it in my mirror column, United 2-1, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was a 0-0.
Okay. A few people saying the volume's a bit low. Turn it up. Obvious. I just want to pick up on one thing there. This little clip could come back and haunt me because I know Liverpool fans watch this show and they'd be happy to tweet this out on Sunday night. I don't think there's a team in the Premier League that can come to United and beat us 2 or 3-0. So I'd sort of agree with Stan. I think it will be quite tight because I think even if Liverpool played the perfect game and went 1 or 2-0 up, I think what Manchester United, Old Trafford, and Jose Mourinho have got back now is what we had under Sir Alex, a team that would respond. What we saw under Van Gaal and that Moyes one recently when Liverpool came to and in the UEFA Cup last year and they blew us apart at Old Trafford. I don't think that can happen now. Anything can happen in football, but I think we've got that swagger back that if Liverpool did dominate us in the first 10 minutes and went 1 or 2-0 ahead, the crowd would react, Mourinho would react, and you'd have a very good game on your hands. So I'm just very excited about it. And I just wanted to say as well, the Liverpool game at Anfield, a lot of people said that was boring. I think if you're a real United fan or a Liverpool fan and you know the history of this game, there is no such thing as boring. I normally sit down and watch a game. I have to stand up for these games because it's tense, everything, because it means so much. I don't know what you think, Stan. I think you've said it before, but having played in it as well, I can't really remember you playing at Old Trafford. I'm sure you can. You did for Liverpool against United, but it's the number one game in England. It's one of the best games in the world.
I remember a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. I think Robbie Fowler scored a couple on that day.
There was Cantona's comeback, I think, wasn't it?
Cantona's comeback, yeah, that was the comeback game. And that was as open as it got. But it still ended up a draw because you're not allowed to. And you certainly are aware because of the history, not just between the two clubs, but the two cities, is that it's one of those games where, you know, it's like a Liverpool-Everton derby, Man City-Man United derby, is that they tend to go very quickly. The tempo of the games, they're gone in the blink of an eye because everything you're having to be hyper-aware of. I think, like I say, I think that both clubs are going in the right direction, which for me, as a football purist, is a good thing. I think that not only domestically, but also in Europe, we need, at the moment, with particularly the Spanish domination of the Champions League, and Europa League, German teams, Italian teams, the rejuvenation of Juventus, some big money going into AC Milan is going to come in the next year or two, is that we need a successful Manchester United in Liverpool in Europe because they're the most experienced clubs in knowing how to do it and how to manage it. And I think that to genuinely look people in the eye when you go to Spain, when you go to Italy and say we've got the best league, it is absolutely normal. It's not snobbish to suggest that the clubs that have had the most history and the tradition and the best players and the best experiences and most experiences of European club competition, of course, are ones that have dipped out of European club, certainly the Champions League, both Liverpool and United in recent seasons, and haven't been great in the Europa League either. I just think on right here, right now, if this would have been another 2-3 weeks down the line and maybe United could have had a wobble, should have had a wobble, but I think they're defensively very sound. I'd give them, as a unit, out of 10, a solid 9 at the moment. I'd probably give Liverpool a 7.5 and 8. Sadio Mane, I think, is a miss. Saw in the first game of the season at Arsenal when he scored a cracker down there, that on the counter-attack and in transition, he's great at carrying the ball. And I just think that when you've got players like Zlatan playing very well, Anthony Martial's body language has completely changed, I think, in recent games. He's even tweeting how happy he is at the moment. Is that United at the moment just have a little bit too much for Liverpool. That's not saying Liverpool can't go and win there. They absolutely can. And I'd be happier than most if you know, they went there and they won well and kept a clean sheet. But just I've noticed little narratives through the season of not being able to keep clean sheets at times, 1 or 2 defensive aberrations, 1 or 2 goalkeeping aberrations, and maybe a little bit of an over-reliance on 1 or 2 players like Coutinho, that let's not forget is coming back from injury, Lallana and Sadio Mane that's gone off. So I'm happy to stick my neck on the block. I think I had Liverpool to win it at Anfield earlier in the season, and I think it'll be 2-1 to United on Sunday.
I hope so. Davo K on the comments there just flashed up, and we have to be balanced. I don't like being balanced about Liverpool, but he did say Mourinho and Klopp, last 5 games, Klopp's unbeaten. So hopefully that means we might break the record, but you know, it's a fair start. There's just 2 questions I want to ask you, Stan. The first one is that I'm doing a charity bet with at Kloppaholic, who's a blogger on Twitter. It was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so we weren't as close as we are now. £50 bet to the chosen charity of whoever wins that Manchester United will finish above Liverpool this year. In fact, I think I said it way back in December. Where do you think? What's your thoughts on that? Where are you going to go?
I've mentioned this, and I got a load of stick from Liverpool fans the other week. I fear it's going to happen. I think that Leicester proved last season that you don't have to have a squad of 23 exceptional footballers to draw upon at various times in the season. But I noticed, for example, Spurs haven't got the biggest squad. When Harry Kane went missing with injury, they didn't successfully put in a player that can play at 8, 9 out of 10 to put him in. And that's the worry for Liverpool. Another injury for Phil Coutinho or Adam Lallana while Sadio Mane is out. There are some very good youngsters coming through at Anfield, and there will be some very good players that come through the academy in the next 2 or 3 seasons. But they're perhaps not as battle-hardened as a Rashford or a Martial. I think that Liverpool's squad is a little bit light, not massively light, but a little bit light. So what my worry always is, and I always look at 38 games rather than most people looking at 15 or 20, is what's it going to be like the last 10 games of the season if there's a point or 2 between them, 2 points, 3 points. And I think it's usually the teams that have the most experience to be able to get a Wayne Rooney to come into the side and score. Play well and that can make a difference. So unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. But I think that Manchester United, just to edge it, I think you're going to win your bet.
Good. And another thing, I think you've more or less covered it there. We've had a lot of Liverpool and Arsenal fans going on about United in 6th and this, that, and the other. It is only January, and there is a massive part of the season left. And I think Stan covered it really well there. Obviously, as United fans, we've seen lots of run-ins. In fact, we've been the victim of being, I think it was a good 4, it might have even been 7 points. We were clear of City in April, and that famous collapse where Aguero won it. So anything can happen. And as long as you're in with a couple of results, whether it's the title or the top 4, it can get quite a nervy time, and you get them teams down the bottom who've been, turn easy games to get your points all season. Suddenly they're playing for reputation and money and lifestyle. They suddenly go up a lot. So it'd be very interesting, and it's a great season, very, very interesting season. The one thing I want to ask is a bit of I thought about it today. It is Liverpool and United related. Michael Owen. Now he was at Liverpool, and then he went to win a title at United. In fact, Jamie Carragher said today that they had some sort of conversation, and he didn't blame Michael Owen going to United because it was a chance to go and win the Premier League. Now, what we notice as United fans is that Michael Owen, in the last couple of years, he tries to do little tweets to Liverpool fans about, another good win for Liverpool. But fair play to Liverpool fans, they give him a lot of stick back because he played for United. And then he tries to do it for United, and we're like, you can't really come back to United now. You're doing that about Liverpool. So he's in no man's land. Obviously, you've got people like Jamie Carragher, who the Liverpool fans love. What's your relationship with the Liverpool fans, Stan?
I mean, it varies. I mean, I think there are a lot of Liverpool fans that, when I was playing there, were happy that I played there. I mean, I would have liked to have won the title with Liverpool. I certainly think we had a team good enough to. Since being an analyst, pundit, whatever you want to call it, I think that I've been critical at times of things like Luis Suarez's diving or the T-shirts in support of him, and been as critical of Liverpool as I have about Manchester United, as I have about Aston Villa, as I have about Wigan Athletic. And I think that for me, I'm not one of those massively partisan. My job is to analyse football teams fairly and squarely across the board. I don't care who it is. I will happily support my club when I'm not working and it's a match day and I'll say up the Villa, but I'm not one of these people that will look at Aston Villa and give them the benefit of the doubt over and above anybody else. I think it's slightly different for Gary Neville and for Jamie Carragher because they come with the sort of dyed-in-the-wool local lads. But I think that both do a very good job in terms of their analysis and punditry, in terms of being hard on their own players. I think that has been proven from both of them, and Paul Scholes, to be fair. So my relationship with the Liverpool fans has always been generally very good. When I go and travel abroad, they always turn up in the numbers, always very kind. I think that a lot of them think what could have happened in terms of, getting more out of me, the form that I had at Nottingham Forest. But I had 2 enjoyable years there. And but for a Manchester United side that went on to win everything, we played in a European Cup Winners' Cup semi-final, FA Cup final, which if that had been, some of the finals of recent years, where, no disrespect, but Wigan have played in and Hull have played in and Stoke City have played in, rather than a Man United Liverpool rivalry, decent positions in the league. So I think that overall, from my perspective, I'd like to think I've got a very healthy relationship with Liverpool fans. But like Aston Villa fans, Fulham, Stafford Rangers, if there's something there to be criticised, I'll criticise. If there's something to be there to be praised, I'll praise.
No, and I hope you didn't mind me asking that. It was literally a curiosity question that came into my head today. Yeah. And also, I've followed you for a long time. It's not just because you come on the United stand. And I think, you're one of the most refreshing pundits there are out there. I don't have a lot of time for ex-pros, as people on this show will tell you, because I feel they're scripted. Last week, Man City game, I was watching it on BBC. They never once in the whole game realised that Man City were playing a different formation. And I just think that's lazy. If I can see it, I've played football, but not to the level you have. But
Mark, hallelujah. And the problem is, and what we're lurching back towards, and whether people like me or they don't, is what I try to do is to do my preparation and homework properly. And we're lurching back. Things go in cycles. I'm a huge fan of American sporting analysis. I'm not a huge fan of everything is based on statistics like the Americans. But if you're an ex-pro going into the media, you're going to do that job as well as you did as a professional footballer or whatever, or a professional journalist. Kids now can pick up a smartphone and have every stat on every player from here to Sydney. So to sit down and to not know, to say, I don't know about that player, I don't know about that formation, isn't good enough. It just is the way it is. I think that we like the mateiness of English punditry rather than in-depth analysis. But hopefully, guys like you that started up mine, the Core Collymore app, lots of other pundits out there. There are some very good ones that people will follow and enjoy. But I agree with you. I think if you're on television or on radio, you are there to either paint a picture for the listener or to be able to tell you, the viewer, something that you don't necessarily know. And I think there are precious few that do that.
Here to that. And I just finally, not Manchester United related, I saw your tweet about it. We saw the tragic news about Graham Taylor today, only 72, passed away from a heart attack. And it feeds into a little bit, I wanted to end on this, as to what I was talking about last night. I'm not a fan of Fellaini. He's staying for another year. I wish he was leaving. It's not hate of a player. It's football opinion. It's saying it how it is. It's a bit, could easily go down the nicey route of, everything that Mourinho does is right and we just bend over and take it. And that's not what being a fan is. And I don't think that's the way Stan approaches it as a critic as well. It's about saying what you think. But it's never hate. And in relation to Graham Taylor, I remember when he was England manager, I didn't like the way we play. I didn't really like him as England manager. But, as a manager, what a passionate man. He came across as a nice bloke as well. And also, I think you'll probably remember this, Stan. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen was that documentary he did. I think they called it "Do I Not Like Orange?" about his failed World Cup. And I thought he was held out to dry, really, by the media. Probably a little bit naive by the FA to let them have that access to it. But what a show it was, and a sad loss for football. And I think we might. I don't know whether I've lost Stan on that point, which would be a shame. There's a problem with the internet connection between you. He told him we'll try to get the call back. Let me see if I can just end it and get him back, because I led into that quite not well actually. But it's what a pain in the backside. But anybody who's watching, just while I try and get Stan back on the show, Cool Collymore is the app. Very very good points. He's going for a Manchester United win, which is also good. But God knows what's happened with Skype here. It seems to have died on me. Let me end it, and then we'll go back into it. Been a bit laggy tonight, I appreciate that, but we should be able to get him back. Let's hope. Thanks for all your live comments as well, some really good ones, and hopefully this is the trouble with this sometimes. It's gonna work. Nearly was shouting out my password as I was logging on there, which we don't want to do. Right, that's interesting. It's telling me that is not my password. Bloody heck. So we've lost Skype at the most important time, which is bloody ridiculous, isn't it? Right, okay. We've covered everything we wanted to do. But what a show. Really enjoyed that from Stan. I'll send our thanks on to him. Make sure you follow him at Twitter, at Stan Collymore, the Stan Collymore app. I sometimes go on and do a little bit on the radio shows, just a little bit about Manchester United. But really enjoyed that. And I hope you did as well. And hopefully we can get Stan on again. He's been on a couple of times before. But being an ex-Liverpool player, wanted to give him that airtime. And as I said, he always says it how it is. But what a game. We're building towards it now. What's next for the United stand? I'll be back tomorrow morning with a 5-minute transfer review. Apparently, Leon for Memphis is grabbing some pace to that. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing my FIFA stuff on my Mark Goldbridge channel. And Saturday morning, we're bringing it forward. Will be United Ramble live about 10:30 on the old mobile, and then we're building up towards Sunday. So thanks everybody for watching. Apologies that I lost Stan there at the end, but watch it back if you missed it all. And I'll speak to you all very soon. Great show, really enjoyed it, and very excited about what's coming up for Manchester United at the weekend. Keep getting involved, and if you didn't watch Skype Goldbridge last night, give it a watch. What a show that was! I must just say, that show, Skype Goldbridge, started off as a little trial that we weren't sure whether it would work or not, and it's just going from strength to strength. And last night, 50 minutes flew by. It's you lot coming on, and that's it. You know, this epitomises what the United stand should be. It should be about you lot getting involved and having your voice, and coming on the show like that. It was a brilliant show last night. So I want to thank you all for that. Keep getting involved. And as I said last night, the United stand, it grows on word of mouth. So if you enjoy the content, tell your friends about United stand. If you know United fans, get them involved, because the louder we get, the bigger our voice gets, and then the bigger we get, the more people we can get on, like Stan and others, and bring them into this fan community, because that's what it's all about, saying it how it is opinion. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all very soon.